Good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Fernando.
Welcome to the show.
Today we have a 2021 Ford Explorer in for a stereo upgrade. Big surprise. Let's take a look at the factory so we can kind of wrap our heads around what we're going to be dealing with. It comes with this neat little floating screen. It kind of looks like an Android tablet minus the power button. It's just kind of hovering right here. You have this area. This, of course, is gonna stay. This is a base model audio system. It doesn't have the BO or anything like that. That means in the door we have a tweeter here, and we have the 6x9 mid bass there. There's nothing located up here in the dash at all. In the rear door, even though it has this grill-like material, there's not a tweeter here. It is just the 6.5 down here. And then in the rear of the vehicle, or the boot, this is where the factory subwoofer would normally be. It is just a big pocket, which would be kind of nice if you were, you know, small amplifiers. You could probably fit like a Sound Digital or Rockford or something in there, no problem. Kicker key maybe, but we're not going to be doing that. We have a much bigger amplifier that we're going to try to put in here. But before we talk about that, let's go ahead and roll the intro. Anytime you start on a new project, whether you've worked on it a dozen times or you've worked on it once, whatever it is, there's a certain protocol of steps that you have to do in order to move forward through the car. It's real easy to do what you know and just get it done and say, I'll worry about that later. I'm not that kind of guy. I like to eat my vegetables first.
What?
Most people don't like vegetables, so you eat them first so that you can forget that taste and really enjoy. That's why do you think dessert is last? So when you finish your meal, you have
It's the reward?
It's the reward.
Yeah, oh, totally.
The first step we have to do in this is figure out where we're running the power wire through the firewall. And the reason for that is the battery is located up here in this corner. It's really difficult to get to. They didn't do a job that makes this very friendly. Yeah, this just kind of slides out. I think there was one more clip over there. Like the Mustang, we have to pull the battery out. This car, we're trying to figure out if that is something we have to do. There's the air filter right there. I always find it funny how they put the batteries. Yeah, anyways, we might have to do that for this battery as well. The reason why we're trying to figure out if we can go on this side of the car as opposed to the driver's side is because we are planning on putting the amplifier here up underneath the seat. There's a decent amount of room here, and it would be real convenient for us to just run the power wire up through here and into the engine bay. But that's not to say if we have to run it across, over and back, we wouldn't do it. Order of operation for this install was actually figuring out if we can fit this amp underneath the seat. We did that before we started recording. It was okay. There was one harness on the seat, the one that you can see hanging down here, that we unclipped, reversed. There was also a 90 on there that we took the 90 off, flipped it around 180 degrees so the wire was coming out this way, which would have put it into the seat track. We put it the other way back into the car. That actually gave us like 4 extra inches of room on the piece of wire, which allows us to install our amp rack that we're gonna build, and the wire will clear. It won't rub up against the seat. We've had to move this back and forth, up and down, check all the movement on the seat to make sure that if you do move a wiring harness that it's not going to be an issue for you. In this case, this worked out perfect. As you can see, like the RCA's through the bag, so all the wiring will come out this way. There's a slit right here that we can feed like the power wire under it, all that. And speaking of the RCA's, once Fernando gets the power wire situation figured out, he'll move on to the speakers. I need to find the amplifier in the car. The factory amplifier, even though it's not an amplified system. We call it the amplifier because it's really just a radio tuner.
Figured it out.
You figured it out?
Figured it out.
What do we got?
Right there.
What's right there? Oh, we got a big grommet. We're gonna have to run a dual power and ground in this because it's aluminum. So if you come over here and put the camera, you can see the light. Don't go through the light. The light showing down there is Fernando's torch here stuck up through the firewall. That means we have a nice, easy, convenient way to get into the engine bay. We will be running the power wire up that side of the car bonus. As I was starting to say, my next step, now that we have that knowledge in pocket, I need to figure out where the factory amplifier slash tuner is. Most of the time in these Explorers, it's located in the back here. I know that doesn't make any sense because there's a screen up there. Why would you put it back here? I don't know. Ford loves to do that. They have a history of doing it. It's just sometimes these guys like to go old school and come back in. That means if it is back here, I have to pull all of this out to get to it. I'm gonna try to do a sneak a peek, which is just kind of like pull some of this stuff back to see if I can see it. Then the whole back of the car is coming out, no problems there. It's just time, and well, hey, you know, that's what they're paying for. Now, what equipment is going into this car? You saw that amplifier underneath the seat. That is the audio control D5-1300. So we're getting a DSP 5-channel amp. For speakers, we'll be doing the Focal IS Ford 690 6x9 plug and play components for the front door, and the IC Ford 165 6.5-inch coaxials for the rear doors. We're also going to be installing a kicker shallow mount Comp RT 112 with passive radiator box, which we'll show you once we get to that part of the install. I need to get the back of the car apart because we have to figure that out. That's kind of a pivotal role in this. So these are the vegetables we're eating first, and then we can get on to the fun stuff. So I'm in the hot box in the back of the vehicle, doors closed. Fernando's up front here, wave. And the reason why I'm doing that is, yes, the amplifier is located behind this panel. You can see it here. These guys all in this area are the tuner. This is the FM portion of it. This is your speaker outputs, your power, and all those other fun things are located here. So that screen way up there is just a slave to this controller here. The BO system, if any of you guys have to do that, is located behind this panel next to the factory amplifier. However, with the BO system, the two tweeters are powered off of the factory radio, just like in the F-150s. That's why we run wires to those instead of trying to tap in and dealing with this. It's like, there's no reason to go over here when you're doing a BO because everything just plugs in on this side with the Zen A to B. We're not that fortunate with the base model. The nice thing is this side came off fairly easily. We didn't have to remove the seat to do it, thank God. Thank you, Ford, for thinking that one. I'm guessing they figured if they're gonna put an air conditioner here that's gonna need to be serviced, this panel is gonna need to come off easily. So you just remove this seatbelt piece here. That one stays. There's a screw located here that actually looks like a hook, and then there's two clips with screws in them, and then the rest of it's just body clips, and it just on-snaps and comes right off. You do have to remove, obviously, this running board here. It's an easier panel than most to remove, which is extremely nice. What we have with the test leads, the next portion of this, does this have fake engine noise, or ANC? ANC comes in a bunch of different packages depending on the car manufacturer. Ford calls it ANC, but it's not. It's really just exhaust noise that they pipe into the car. It's usually on the bigger engines and not the V8s. The V8s obviously don't have it, but like the 3.2 liters typically have it, but the 2 liters don't. I don't know. Guess it makes them feel special, makes them feel like the car is throatier, and it's like, whoa, I'm a V8, but I'm not. We have to test for that to make sure it doesn't have it. We have an RTA hooked up to it, and we're looking at the output on the RTA now to see if we get, when we rev up the engine, the sub bands will come up. This noise here that you're seeing, all this little even though the engine is running, this is actually engine noise. This is the noise that the car is just generating on its own. But if you look over here, here's 0 dB, here's 10 dB. So you have 10 dBs of noise, which is almost inaudible. Like if we put the volume knob to 1, this barely changes and you can't even hear it. So this is all the noise that is coming in the car with just the engine running, the electronics on. This is all just created. Look at that high frequency right there. This is why you guys go, why do I have floor noise and stuff like that? Other than the design of the equipment, yeah, you have this noise over here. And as you see, this is just keeps changing as the engine and the computers and everything are just doing what they do. We need to see if we get a bump right here. We don't need to be down this low. Actually, what I like to do is get right above the noise so I don't see the noise, and now I rev up the engine. And the reason why I do that is because the fake engine noise is going to be louder than any of the noise created by the car. Otherwise, it would serve no effect. You would never hear it. As you can see, we're not getting anything on this side. This is where it'll be. It'll come up like this, and it'll just kind of like fan. It'll like, dude, look at me, I'm up, and then it'll fan down. We're not getting any of that, which is nice. If we scroll back down, rev up the engine again. As you can see, it doesn't change anything here, which is a good thing. That out of the way, we have no noise to worry about, thank God. Let's play some pink noise, and we just want to scroll back down here and get an idea of what the signal looks like. This is with the radio's bass and treble at the 0 point, balance and fader is correct. This is the passenger front door speaker, and as you can see, there's a slight bump here in the mid-range. There's a slight bump here in treble. And then right here at 1.6K is another boost. Bass roll off starts somewhere in the 50-40 hertz range. Now we'll scroll this down and we'll turn it up more and we'll see if any more of that bass roll off disappears. Keep going. So as you can see that the bass roll off, the amount of it really didn't change much from when the volume was down low. What you'll typically see with like lots of bass roll off, like a Honda or something like that, or a Nissan, is that this will just keep getting louder and this curve will just get steeper and steeper. It's not doing that. It didn't really change much. So this isn't so much bass roll off, it's just probably some form of a crossover in the factory amplifier that's limiting this performance. We'll be able to fix that with equalization just by pushing those bands up and then re-EQing this so that it doesn't have this weird here. And this is probably for the factory speaker. More than likely this isn't a problem with them where they won't create these frequencies, because this is electrical, this isn't audio. We're tapped into the wiring of the car. This is showing you the true EQ that is coming out of the radio. If we were to RTA this with a microphone, we probably wouldn't see this. It would probably look something more like be a boost here in treble. This would probably be flat, and then this would go up at a nice rise, and this wouldn't even be present. This is to fix something that's wrong with their factory speakers. We're good to move forward now. We have two of the big off of our list. How are we going to get power wire into the car, and where are we going to get the signal for the amplifier? And the third one would be, where are we going to put the amplifier? The nice thing about the plug and play speakers is that there's no curiosity there. We know they're just going to go in where the factory speakers are. They're a perfect fit for this vehicle. Otherwise, we'd be taking the door panels off at this point and figuring out, do we have brackets? Do we need to make brackets? What level of speaker is he getting? Is the Metro bracket going to be good? Do we need to make big thick brackets like we're doing some K2s or something like that, where we need a nice rigid surface for those? We don't have to do that. Pretty cool. The bad part about this particular vehicle at the time of filming is that there is no harness for this car, meaning we don't have a T-harness that we can easily clip into this, which is kind of a bummer. I really love using T-harnesses for something like this because it just makes installation super easy. So what we'll have to do is make something so that we can easily plug into that and get the wiring that we need, and that he'll also be able to just easily put it back to factory if and when he decides to go back to factory, which my guess is probably will be never, seeing how this is a 2021, but it's just nice to prepare for that kind of thing. Whew. Oh my gosh, it's so hot.